Yo, check it out. We are back once again. This is the Wu-Tang Podcast. And before we get into this episode, I definitely need to remind you to rate, subscribe, comment, favorite, whatever it is that you can do wherever you listen to podcasts, whether it be iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play Music, Spotify, Pocket Cast, whatever platform you use. Just go ahead and, give us a shout out, do something, share it with your friends, whatever you can do to help us grow this podcast. If you enjoy it, we definitely appreciate the love and support. You can also check out the Wu-Tang Podcast at wutangpodcast.com. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. Reach out on social media. We definitely appreciate that as well. If you want to hit us up, go ahead and hit us up at wutangpodcast.com, or you can leave us a voicemail or send us a text at 443-885-0997 for any questions, comments, sponsorship opportunities, or the like. The Wu-Tang Podcast is hosted by myself, the almighty AR Tick in the building, and also Sin God Superior. You can check out everything I have going on musically and otherwise at thealmightyar.com, and check out Sin God Superior, who has a project out right now entitled Koros, and he has other singles that are out and coming out soon. Check him out at singodsuperior.com. So, definitely show us some love. We definitely appreciate your support. Keep showing it. And the show, we're going to keep growing it. And I'm going to get off this mic and we're going to start the show. Peace.
We gotta make that money, Lord. When I make my 50 cents,
Raise a
Lord,
rap.
I've been
Raise a rap.
rolling.
Economy, raise a blade rap. I'm trying to make it. Lobotomy stays in your lap. Pistols and slave ships. Blah, blah, blah. I need my 50 cent now. Blah, blah, blah. I want my 50 cent
I'm
now.
coming from the land of the scam and dollar plans. Cartier blacks to take all your metal and fashion sands. Where the blood runs straight out the president's face. We got more heat on the streets than in your apartment space. Walk a creek of dirty needles and follow the shattered dreams. Broken bottles lead to piss set in auburn colored streams. Type old money passes hands like identically hued plants. Rap like bodies in Highland Park. The gun never jams, fam.
Yo. Once again, we are back. This is the Wu-Tang Podcast, which is a Channel 10 podcast production. And it is I, the almighty AR Tick in the building. And I'm alongside the one and only
Sin God Superior.
And today, we're going to break format a little bit. And break out of the progression of albums that we've been doing for a very special episode, because 2016 marks the 20th anniversary of an album that we both thought was dope, and it was just during a dope time, and that is the debut album by Bronze Nazareth, The Great Migration.
Yeah. By the way, it's the 10th anniversary.
What did I say?
20th.
Oh man, that's what happens when you're podcasting late. Please don't judge me, people out there. The 10th anniversary, my math is all wrong. But before we get into that, we gotta just make sure to let you guys know to support the podcast by subscribing and rating on iTunes, liking on SoundCloud, liking on Stitcher, Google Play Music, wherever you get your podcasts. Just do what you can to help us out and tell a friend to tell a friend. Check us out at WuTangPodcast.com. Check out our back catalog of episodes. And also, of course, check out Channel10Podcast.com, where, we get into in-depth interviews with various people and just talk hip-hop in general. But this podcast was just focusing on the group that is the Wu-Tang. So, check that out. And as always, Singard Superior has a project out, Koros. So, tell the people about that.
Yeah. So I have an EP out titled Koros. You can pick it up you can listen to it on Tidal, Apple Music, pretty much wherever you listen to your music. It's available on Bandcamp. You can check me out at SingardSuperior.com. If you want to keep up with me, and especially on Twitter, where I'm most active and all that kind of good stuff.
Word. So, now that we got that out of the way, the Great Migration, man. So this album was released May 23rd, 2006 on Dreddy Kruger's Think Differently Records, which was his imprint through Baby Grand Records. And, how do you feel about this album?
Just going back and listening to The Great Migration, it just brought back a lot of memories. This is when I was, it came out when I was in high school and everything like that, so had some decent memories of that and whatnot. And, overall, just like listening back to it, and I've always felt this way for quite some time, that I think it's an underground classic.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. Just going back and listening to this album, it just reminds me of that year, 2006. That was my, around that time I was coming to the end of my freshman year at Howard University. And that was definitely one of the albums that I had in rotation as I was, mobbing through the DC streets. I just remember the albums around that time. That was the Roots album. There was Hip Hop Is Dead. There was T.I.'s King. There was just a bunch of, dope albums out, and this one, was right there. And, going back and listening to it, I always kind of gravitated towards the production aspect of it. Just because, especially during that time of, the gloss of the mid-2000s, it kind of brought back a certain type of grittiness to the production that wasn't there at the time, but it still sounded very full. But, listening back, 10 years later, I can really appreciate the lyricism of Bronze Nazareth a lot more, and just his rhyme style in general, and how dope it is, and how, just the way that he puts certain things, and how sometimes it just seems like it's just stream of consciousness, just all his feelings coming out,
Yeah, and I think we've talked about this a little bit, and just how you contextualize the album a bit. Talking about the glossy era of hip hop during the time, and I've always seen this period, like maybe from like 2006 to maybe like 2010ish or maybe 2009, kind of like this new like golden, like very small like golden era of underground music. So like the early 2000s, you had the whole Def Jux thing, and then when that kind of died out, it seems as if like Nature Sounds and Baby Grand really came out with like a lot of good material between this time. And it seems to me that Bronze Nazareth's album, it got like a lot of like web promotion. Like wherever you went, if you were like in like that kind of underground scene, you will always see it somewhere. And Baby Grand came out with the Think Differently compilation, Dreddy Kruger's thing. They came out with the Holocaust album, Society of Invisibles, like a whole bunch of like decent, really good underground music, and then looking at like just going like to 2008, Voodoo Mega's album, which I think is an underground classic.
Yeah.
And actually, Bronze Nazareth, he produced one track on that, Trigonomics. And then like even like 2009, the reason why I end with 2009 is because of Q-Tip's album, which I just still kind of see as an underground album and how good that was.
Yeah. I think that, Bronze Nazareth's album definitely benefited from the strength of the Wu-Tang meets indie culture album, which, that album hit hard. I don't think anybody was really expecting that. Like, in the middle of the 2000s, you just have basically an album full of what a lot of people would consider B and C lister Wu-Tang members and a bunch of other underground people. For that album to make such an impact, and Bronze Nazareth producing a bulk of it, and then for him to follow up with the Great Migration, which kind of continues the production style, but it goes deeper into his style and his atmosphere. I definitely think he benefited from that, which is good because I'm trying to think of how I even came to this album. It probably has something to do with Wu-Tang meets the indie culture, because I used to bang that album all the time too.
Well, I know with me, I was a heavy Wu-Tang Court visitor. I was always in the forums, and I just remember it was around the same time like chamber music became kind of big too. And I mean, I guess it was Wu-Tang Court, but one of those kinds of websites where it was like a big, like full screen ad for Bronze Nazareth, and just like the whole branding of it, the symbol, and then like his name is Bronze Nazareth, like, and that's a dope ass name, and then like in the album, it just sounds like something that a man named Bronze Nazareth would make.
Yeah, it does. And now that I remember, I think Hip Hop Game had a lot of ads on it as well, for the album, and just the whole artwork of it. That's one thing that those Baby Grant albums had at that time, and some dope artwork, and just the way the colors look and everything. Like, it definitely stands out. And just I definitely want to give a shout out to Matteo Urella. He's been a guest on the Channel 10 podcast, so go back and check that episode if you haven't yet. But he has his profile series on Medium, and he actually featured Bronze Nazareth. So if you want to get any more information about him, you can definitely go check that out. And it's really interesting because this album hit at that time, but it seems like Bronze Nazareth should be kind of bigger than what he is, based off of just the strength of this album and how much it has stood the test of time.
I would say so. I always thought that he was going to be like a I'm trying to think of like kind of really, I guess like a Jedi mind trick or something like that. Like I guess like what they were doing, like especially during that period, 2006, and the whole Army of the Pharaohs clique. And it seemed as if Bronze Nazareth was trying to do something similar. You had the whole Wu-Tang behind him, Silver Rings, who eventually came out with his first album, like 2 years later, and he had like the whole Wiseman Collective going on, and his brother Kevlar 7, rest in peace.
Yeah, rest in peace, man. I actually talked to him, I think briefly, once or twice on Facebook. So it was like crazy to see that he passed, but yeah, definitely rest in peace to him. Yeah, most definitely. So I mean, it's just crazy how things, how things end up, but like still this day, still really good music, really good production on the Cannabis album, the Willie Kid joint.
Willie the Kid joint, and everything like that.
Yeah, and then even from a lyrical perspective, like in Matteo's article, he posted this line in the article. It ain't no time when freedom is on the clock. And a lot of people talk about the double and triple entendres of Jay-Z, but we look at this. It ain't no time when freedom is on the clock. Like, it's just so many different ways that you can take that, and it's just those type of lines that appear very simple, or you might not even get them at first, but then when you actually read them and look at them, it's like, oh, okay, and you can kind of interpret it like a painting or something like that.
Yeah, man. I really hope Bronze Nazareth listens to this. We've been trying to get him on. Yeah. Bronze, if you're listening, we've been trying to get you on for quite some time on the Channel 10 podcast. We would really love to have you on. I don't know how he would feel about this, but I think that he's a better lyricist than he is a producer.
I was thinking about that. It's hard to say because, my first thing that I think when I think Bronze Nazareth is production, but then, just reading the lyrics, it's like, this is, really it's, he could probably publish, this type of stuff in a book. It's hard for me to say, man. I would say, I guess I can see him maybe being a better lyricist, if only because most of his production, especially like around this time, is very Wu-Tang influenced, and so not to say that there aren't times when you can pick out a beat and say, oh, Bronze Nazareth did it, but it might sound like a Wu-Tang beat and not necessarily a Bronze Nazareth beat, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, this is something that I do like about the album, in that I think it doesn't really sound like, it doesn't have like a Wu-Tang sound to it. Like, the thing, I think we've talked about this too, about like this Wu-Tang sound that we've always talked about, and like you just know it when you hear it. Mm-hmm. But if you really go back and listen to a Wu-Tang album from the actual Wu-Tang Clan, it's not what they do. But somehow, some way, a whole entire sound has been created that RZA really has never really done.
I mean, it's funny. Like, it's more so a Fourth Disciple sound.
Yeah, it's a Fourth Disciple. Yeah, it's a Fourth Disciple, True Master Mathematics kind of sound, and then like the lyricism is like Killer Priest and Killer Priest, Sons of Man, like that whole kind of crew. Mm-hmm. And Prodigal Son, it's not what they do. Like, they talk about regular shit. Ghostface doesn't, he doesn't really talk about, he doesn't do like spoken word poetry over a didgeridoo sound like how Killer Priest did on Heavy Mental.
Right. That's one of the most creative songs that I've ever heard in my life, by the way.
It is.
Mental, but I think the thing that I don't know. I do think that to me it has a Wu-Tang, a quote unquote Wu-Tang sound, but the thing that kind of separates it is the drums. The way that he does his drums is a bit different, and that's the part where you can kind of tell. Like, if you would have put Bronze Nazareth next to a True Master or a Fourth Disciple, you can point him out more because his drums, they're more in the front and present, and they have that, that more boom bap type of feel,
Yeah, and that's one thing I do like about him, that actually I never really noticed when it came to the album before, and it is like the drums, like on Black Royalty, like the really like kind of like over compressed muffled sample, and like it's really just like the sample just riding through, but then like he puts in like, well, I don't know if it's a sample or not, but he puts in like drums, but then he drops them off, like, like kind of like a really interesting build up. But going back to like his lyricism real quick, he says like certain things that you just don't really think about, like on Stolen Van Gogh, which is like, it's always been like one of like my favorite, like, you know, like just random, like, you know, like 2-minute songs that you just like. Yeah, like one of those dark kind of songs. And like he just said like something like scary, like you came in and saw God praying. Just like some crazy shit like that, like some shit you just never really think about that would actually be kind of scary.
Yeah, my thoughts stand scary, like you came in and caught God praying. To
who? In heaven's elevator, I'll vocally murder you and pass through like Ash Wednesday unnoticed. I always like, you know, being like coming from Catholic school, like I always thought about like Ash Wednesday always like just passes by, and no one really thinks about this shit. I mean, unless you like go to a Catholic school. Yeah.
Blend in like cameras unfocused, and even like when you read it, like the way the words are and the way it just fits on the page, and like the way that the rhymes land. The way that the rhyming words land in the middle of a sentence is very poetic, and it makes you come back to it. And you know, when you do read it, you do get a different type of meaning to it.
Yeah, man. Like, I don't know. I guess that's that. I don't know what to say. Like he, like, you know, we talk about like, you know, these street poets, like Nas being a street poet. Mm-hmm. Whatever like that, man. I really think he really is a street poet. Like, smoke crimson, drink something from lead pipes. Like, I never. Oh man, like I don't want to fuck up his lyrics, man. But like even like on like the Fifth Chamber, which I would say is one of the better chamber songs. Yeah. Like I've never won a diamond, but I only used to hit a pitch off, like hit a. Damn, I'm fucking it up.
Hold on, let me pull it up. Like the whole way. Hold on, was that song? I think that was that different song? I think that was a different song that you're talking about. Cause Fifth Chamber, that's the one that had Sean Price on it. Rest in peace.
Oh yeah,
Sean Price.
Yeah, rest in peace.
Man, in fact, Sean Price, you know, he dropped a ill verse on this. I listened to it in the car earlier. He was like, Sean Price is the nicest MC in the world to ever write a rap. Like, how do you start your verse off with that? Then he said, this is the way I get paid unless you box and crack.
Oh, my bad. It was the Bronze Man with Killer Sin.
Right, yeah.
And Killer Sin killed it.
Yeah, like everybody kind of like brought their A game on these features too. Another song I really liked is
I think I know what you want to say.
One Plan.
Oh, well, I thought you were going to say More Than Gold, but yeah, One Plan is ill too. And this is something too, like that I like about him, is that he usually always has like these female songs, at least like one or two female songs. Yeah. And like the imagery, like, and then I don't know, man, like he knows how to do them, right? Especially for like an underground artist. Like with that kind of underground aesthetic.
Yeah, I mean, smile like the winds of Egypt. Notice the sweet lips. Like, he just, walk in the purple rain, talk amongst the floodplains. My campaign remains to flow over your change. Like he like, you know, this is really just dope. Like, I might just ask you to buy a Wu tattoo.
Let the walls blanket you with my kingdom. Hold a grenade pin when the jealous man's inching. Tension when it's pressure applied. Swim laps in your synapse, like.
Yeah.
And mind you, I'm not looking at it. I'm just kind of going off of like what I remember in my head. But and then like, and check it. The Wiseman album, the first one, Wiseman Approaching.
Yeah.
I remember he said something like, it was like this one song with like the girl, kind of like female song, and he said it was something about baby grand piano keys bouncing off our dinner plates. That I was like, what the fuck? Like, I've never thought about some shit like that.
Yeah, man. And then like even like the pain on The Great Migration, like I always loved that beat, and I always used to play the instrumental and just kind of freestyle to it. But for this particular song, it's like he is just saying just everything that's on his mind, like, and it sounds kind of disjointed, but it all goes together. It's like somebody who's just been through a lot and they just kind of just spilling it all out, like, you know, go back home, throw in the hood, and they get it. Like, they get it, but see, we got a problem. I ain't got no problem. I mean, I ain't got no conscience. I ain't got no problems. Laying niggas down like a carpet. Like, he got his braggadocious type stuff. And then he just, you know, spits some more bars, and he comes back down to, you know, Doc's talking about blood pressure's up high. Next thing I know, the feds at the door. Like, for a robbery that happened back in 2000, looking at 14 years in jail housing. I ain't heard shit since, but damn, a nigga tense. Every time I pick up the phone, I think it clicks. Paranoid skits. How the fuck am I saying how is life like this? But I passed that stage like a masquerade, and I'm still here. Pour beer on the average day. Now you smoke weed and you never got a strategy. Snakes don't rattle me. I'll put you out. He said, I'll put you out of my misery.
Oh shit! I never noticed that. I never caught that part.
Yeah.
Damn. It's like. Another thing, like this album kind of, like this album, like in like the way like he's rapping, especially like on the pain, it reminds me of that J. Cole song, I think "Dollar in a Dream," where you can tell he was feeling it. That like the part of his vocal got distorted.
Yeah.
Yeah, this kind of just reminds me of like that one part, like that one moment is like this entire album. Like it's a pretty dark album, although I guess toward the end it kind of had some type of hope at the end.
I mean, even the song that you would think about, like the Cash Rule with the title, you know, just a dollar sign.
Yeah.
Like the song, it kind of sounds upbeat at first, but then when you listen to it, like, I want to quote the lyrics real quick. He said, "I'm coming from the land of the scams and dollar plans." Like. Fractured sands with the blood runs straight out the president's face. We got more heat on the streets in your apartment space. Like, walk a creek of dirty needles and follow the shattered dreams. Broken bottles lead to piss-scented Auburn colored streams. Like, when I heard that, when I listened to it, that's like, that just reminds me of, yeah, that's how I feel every day. In downtown Baltimore, where you just smell piss everywhere, especially when it rains.
Yeah. And then another thing that I like about this album is like you can tell that like this is like kind of like it seems like a blackout album. Yeah. Because like even on More Than Gold, this is something that me and my brother always talked about. Not More Than Gold, the Bronze Men. This is something we've always talked about, and I think even when we like one time. I remember when we were first listening to it, and somehow, some way, like Ricky came out of nowhere, and he was also interested in this fact that how he lets the beat ride for like the first 2 minutes before he even starts rapping.
Yeah, because at first I was like, oh, he just put an instrumental in here, but nah, he just let it ride, and then he doesn't just spit 16 bars. Like he just goes as long as he feels like he needs to go.
Yeah, he's the Bronze Man.
Yeah. Like, fuck it. You know, I'm just going in, and you know, it's not too much, it's not too little, it's just right.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I feel. Like with a lot of these songs, actually, like I think More Than Gold was perfect. Like time wise, One Plan, the Bronze Man, like we just said, Stolen Van Gogh. Like, yeah, I really don't know what else you could say after like the whole like move through like Ash Wednesday. Like, this is just a fucking good ass album.
Yeah.
And then like I've always been in between Stolen Van Gogh, the Bronze Man, More Than Gold, and the final song, The Great Migration, because I don't know, I was listening to it. Actually, I listened to it maybe like 5-7 times a day, and like just like listening to his lyrics again over and over again. Like the imagery in the final song, man, is crazy.
Yeah.
And then like the beat is like so fucking eerie, but then you know it's like it's a soul sample.
Yeah, I mean, it's like he's it's interesting because it's like a Wu-Tang Detroit perspective, you know. Like, you know, there's a lot of dope people from Detroit. You have, you know, Royce 5'9", Proof, of course, Eminem, Obi Trice, Danny Brown, all these different types of people. But you know, he's really putting this Wu-Tang perspective on you know, I guess the plight of the city, and it really brings it to life to where, you know, when I go, I think this is going to be my soundtrack.
Damn.
You know, as opposed to like other things. I mean, you know, in the jungles, what do you say? In the streets, jungles deep, run from man, haunted land, skeletons they hunting man. You argue, fam, we flaunting hands. Like, it might just like the pipes bust in a birth canal. I creep from wells with secret spells.
Oh yeah, man.
My speech will kill as deep as hills. Like,
yeah, and then like toward, I think like the final verse, he says something like he says something about like the pungent winds, but you can only hide between like walls and basements and shit. Like, sounds like Baltimore, like any old city.
Yeah. Like, he could probably start writing short stories and, you know, fiction. Like, just the way his imagery is, you know, you can see it and you can smell it.
Yeah, I mean, like that song, and then the song Detroit.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't know, like with like even like on what is it, the on the Bronze Man, when he said like we puff marble and drink something from lead pipes, I can taste it when he says it.
Yeah. And then like even on Good Morning, A Nice Hell. Like this is like waking up in the morning and getting a train downtown and going to work. Like, let me walk you through the yards where life is truly hard, on the pathway from lung disease to ashtray. All night be on the grind like Monday. Just let me smoke my incense. Life is intense like the black day in July. Excuse me, ma'am, I'm just trying to get by. That's me when I'm trying to get up the escalator. I'm just trying to get past these souls that fly like the bullets down my way. Holes around my way. Souls is drowning in the dead sea of sex and Alizé. Look out for the dead children. Maybe you'll find hope sitting in the building around that plate of that coat. Like, it's like I can just feel like I'm just on my way to work, and I'm just seeing just people fiended out and leaned out, and kids just wilding out, and just a whole bunch of mess. Like,
yeah, man.
Like first thing when you wake up in the morning.
Yeah, man. It's. And then like on the final song, he says that you can see the Detroit run through his arm. Man, like, yeah, he has some imagery, man. And then like which song is that? The one he's like really pouring it out with let's see, I think it's Hear What I Say.
Oh yeah, with the exclamation point.
Yeah, with and he's talking about like how, you know, he's not going to make it like Jay-Z and whatever else he was talking about in that song. Like, you could tell he was going through it.
Yeah. And then like I can relate. Like I just pulled the lyrics here. Like you know, when he said love Pac and Big, but I miss Pun the most.
Pun the most. Yeah, like that was the high point of that song.
Yeah. And he said, I'm so underground, I play beats on the bones of Mega Evers, sitting next to Murs, Immortal Technique, and the Beggars. Like, I just wanted Hot 97 to play my shit like they promised. They never did. Like, I'm like Van Gogh's paintings, you'll never hear my talents. It's the sound of neglect that makes me green with malice. Like, man.
It seems like he really has a thing about Van Gogh, because didn't he mention it in the Profiles interview too? I think he did.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, it seems like he has certain artists that he keeps coming back to, and you know, it's like, it's always interesting to me when people from one medium can get so much inspiration from somebody in a completely different medium. So a musician who gets inspired by a painting, or vice versa, and you know, artists who are inspired by movies and they create something, or you know, pattern their lives a certain type of way because of some type of art that somebody did that on the surface doesn't even relate, you know.
Yeah. I mean, thinking about it, I do remember when he says that like he reads like a lot of biographies.
Yeah. I mean, that's, you know, it all goes into everything that we have here with the Great Migration. So, you know, if you've never heard Bronze Nazareth, the Great Migration, I highly suggest you get over to Amazon or wherever you get your music from. I'm not sure if it's on all the streaming services. I don't think it's on Tidal, but it is on Apple Music. So, you know, just check it out. Trust us on that one. Like, shout out to Bronze Nazareth. Congratulations on, you know, making an album that stood the test of time a decade later. That's not something that you know, a lot of people do in life. So, salute.
Yeah, man. And please come on.
Yeah, man. You know, holla at us. Definitely like to have you on the Channel 10 podcast. And, you know, definitely check out Matteo Urella's profile on Bronze Nazareth on his Medium. And, you know, I'll probably post a link in the description. And, yeah, man. Check it out.
All right.
And, you know, make sure you rate, subscribe, comment, and tell a friend about the Wu-Tang Podcast. And with that, we out. Peace.
Peace.